thrill and pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings, no matter where you are, with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Kentucky Derby 150 is almost here, and today, KSR, we're helping you get ready for the Kentucky Derby, where I've assembled 10 tips to help you derby like a local, and to do that, I'm a wily old veteran. I've been around the block once or twice before, but today I've recruited a couple of first-timers here, in one James Fletcher and his mother. They're coming to their first Kentucky Derby, so I've brought them on to share their story because I'm also curious too. I'm not used to seeing Derby people outside of the state. This is our thing. So Mrs. Fletcher, James tells me you're the one who got him hooked. How does somebody from the state of Tennessee, from Memphis, get hooked into the Kentucky Derby?
Well, actually, to be honest, I was from probably Illinois at the time.
Okay.
My family just grew up always watching it on TV every year. I grew up, my brothers, all of us, we'd pick our horse for the day and watch pretty much every year. So then, even when I got married, I kind of continued. Me and my brother would kind of go back and forth. And then when I had kids, of course, James and his sister Jennifer, we all do our picks still and watch pretty much every year. He would even come home from college and surprise me several years when I thought he wasn't going to make it. So it's just kind of been something I've done for as long as I can remember.
It sounds like it's a family affair, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how it was for me, and I think that's the way it is for a lot of people. So I love hearing that that's not just if you grew up down the street from it. And I'm curious, when James surprised you with tickets for Christmas, what was going through your head when you opened that gift?
Well, he has told me probably, I would say, since he was at least 10, maybe even younger. He says, "One day, Mama, when I make it, I'm taking you to the Derby. We're going to go in person." I was like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it, but I'm looking forward to it. And it was actually my birthday and Mother's Day last year.
Oh, okay.
He handed me, I guess it was just a little piece of paper, and I don't even remember exactly what it said now. I've got it set back, but it said something about the Derby, and I was thinking like probably 10, 15 more years from now, maybe, when I was like an old lady. And he said, "Nope, we're going to the 150th." And of course, I started crying, which I'll probably do again here. But
Oh, well,
so,
it's okay. It's okay. Horse racing's not for the faint of heart. James, it strikes me though, you went out on a limb, you made this big move. I'm sure you're pretty proud, but that was just the beginning of the story, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that I literally been planning for a decade. Like she said, from the time I was probably 10, I was telling her I was going to take her. But when I was, I think it was around when the 140th happened, I realized, hey, we're 10 years away from the bicentennial, and so I might as well kind of start planning for that. I'll be in my mid 20s. Hopefully, I'll have a job where I can kind of fund those tickets. And so, yeah, we get to that point. And obviously, I tell her that we're going before I have the tickets because they don't even open until November. Then we get to there, and for Christmas was actually when I told her we had the actual tickets in that were going to be coming through at some point. They'd been ordered, but of course, going through a website to get those tickets, you got to wait for them to be transferred. And that's where about a month ago now, maybe a little bit less, found out the tickets that I had ordered under the website, they were delivered. They were not the tickets that we had ordered. They were only for the Oaks. And so had to go through a process for a couple of weeks going back and forth with them. And they kind of sent me through multiple channels, about, over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. And eventually we get to the point where I'm talking to just about the highest ranking person I can get to on the phone. And they end up telling me, look, we can't do anything. We're not going to replace the tickets, because what they actually told me was, they said that the value of the tickets that I had bought versus the price of the tickets today was too big of a gap, so they could not replace them. And that's obviously
Oh my
why I
gosh.
ordered them when I did, instead of ordering them last minute, like we are right now. But of course, that was a struggle, trying to
Oh,
deal with that, figure out what to do, and then had to try to figure out how to replace them.
I can't imagine. It'd be one thing too if it's just you, and like maybe you and your buddies, and you're like, well, we can maybe just do infield or something for the Derby day, or we could do this. But you made a promise to your
Yeah,
mother, and you can't break that promise.
right,
So
exactly.
how did you end up securing some Derby tickets?
Well, so I wasn't really sure what to do at that time. I took some time, thought about it, and was just, talking to friends, talking to mentors, and trying to figure out how can I make this happen, because we're talking about thousands of dollars in the difference between the two tickets. And so had to go through and eventually decided, look, I've got the refund at least, so I've got some funds here to start out with, but needed, a few
Mm-hmm.
thousand more dollars to get there. And eventually put together a GoFundMe, got some generous donations from different people, people who I knew, some people helping spread the cause that maybe had never met me in person. Maybe they've interacted with me on social media or something, but very helpful there. Just spreading the word that I needed some help, which is something I had never really, done before. I've never had a GoFundMe, never asked for money like that before. And so was very glad that people were able to help how they were. And then, of course, from there, I also found out, and it was just really just one of those kind of, it all comes together, and this sigh
Mm-hmm.
of relief after filing my taxes. Almost the exact dollar amount I needed was my refund, and so it just was this moment where it's kind of just meant to be, and so was able to replace the tickets. We now have our official tickets. We've got the whole pass set up for the 2 days, and we're ready to go.
Miss Fletcher, how what was it like watching your son kind of jump through all these hoops for you?
Well, that was the hard part. 'Cause when he called me, I was actually in the grocery store. And like I said again, I started probably crying, and it wasn't because I wasn't getting to go. It was me thinking he has done all this work and for 10 years plus tried to get me there, and then it just fell apart. So that was difficult. But then he called me about the GoFundMe, and I was like, whatever you think you need to do. I said, we'll at least try it. If it doesn't work, we'll go later maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very proud of him to see him actually fight to find a way, I guess, because he was so determined.
It's I salute you. Hats off to you, Mr. Fletcher, because I can't imagine the stress and anxiety of going through all this. And people, they wonder, like, why would you do this all for just a 2-minute horse race? And it's like, well, because
Yeah.
it's different. It's the Derby, right? It's the pomp and circumstance of it all. You all are going to be able to be there. I believe infield suites tickets, right? In the
Yeah,
bleachers and
infield
infield.
infield bleachers. Yep, we'll be in that little area on
Nice.
the home stretch. So
Nice, which is great because you got front side access, and you're going to be able to relax a little, take a load off, have all you can eat and drink. Now, Miss Fletcher, are you a mint julep gal, or is that a part
Well,
of the ritual?
I normally do not drink. We usually do the non-alcoholic version here, but I told him for once I will drink one at least just because I'm there.
Hey, when in Rome, right? When in Rome,
Yeah.
you got to give it a try. Do either of y'all have a favorite Derby winner? Is there one that really pops from all your years watching the race from afar?
I mean, Secretariat for me, I was little, but
Mm-hmm.
I I got to see that. So, and then
Yeah.
of course I was a big Shoemaker fan growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
he's long since out of the
Right,
business.
right,
But
right. Um,
yeah,
yeah, but it is crazy because in this one too, whoever wins this one, even if it's not the horse you pick, it's going to be a special one that you hope can keep running for glory. And maybe
Yep.
we can figure out who your Derby horse is going to be. But before I get into some of our tips and tricks for you all on your first visit to Churchill Downs, I want to let everybody know that you can bet the run for the Roses with Naira Bets. Score big on the Kentucky Derby with a double dose of your rewards. Sign up today for a $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus with the promo code KSR25. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus at nairabets.com/KSR. The service at the track has been good in recent years. There was one year where another inferior wagering service went down and you couldn't place your bets that day and there was a panic. But you should be able to get on Naira Bets and place your bets from inside the track. They have upped the ante with the cell service there. But that's just one of the tips I got for y'all. I got 10. And the first things first, I don't think I got to tell you all this. When you go to Oaks and Derby, just arrive early, right? There's a lot of people who like to show up fashionably late and, they're busy doing their hair and they take forever. Or maybe they go a little too hard on the paint in Oaks and then they sleep in and all of a sudden it's 1 o'clock and you miss 4 races, okay? My parents, they used to get in line at about 7:30 a.m. So they were the first at the gate when the gates opened at 8, and they would sprint to the paddock, bring caution tape, and mark their bench seats off so they had a place to sit all day. You don't need to go that far. That might be a little bit much. But the races start at 10:30. It takes me to walk there about 30, 45 minutes. I get settled in about an hour, right? By the time you do everything. So I watch the 10:30 race and I'll usually be good for race 3. I'll watch it as I'm walking in or get there in time to bet on race 4. But if you're there before noon, that's plenty of time. I mean, how many times are you going to get to go to the Oaks and Derby, right? You might as well get there and enjoy it all.
Yeah, definitely. That's, I think, our plan is to get there as early and hopefully watch if not all the races, as many as we can, when we're not
Yep.
trying to get back and forth from concessions or the booth to the seats.
They do a good job stretching out later on. They want to make sure you've got plenty of. If there's one thing Churchill Downs is happy to do, it's take your money. So they'll happily wait around for all your wagers. Second tip we got up next, which this is the big one that I worried could impact your plans. Your outfits are going to look great no matter what. How your feet feel, this is my number one. I may not be the most stylish person, and this is where I'm definitely not the most stylish. I'll have some Asics on because I want to have some comfortable feet walking around. And you know what? They're going to get popped off at some point. I'm going to be walking around barefoot in the infield because the dogs will be barking, right? There's a lot of walking. It's a 129-acre facility. So, Mrs. Fletcher, I recommend if you want to bring some heels or maybe even a wedge. Wedges aren't as bad, but at least have some flats or some sandals to be able to exchange in and out while you're walking around because it's a lot of walking.
Yep. I've already decided that it's not going to matter what my feet look like.
Yeah.
Because I've tried a few different things and no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think people are gonna be taking pictures of your shoes. So are we going? I'm curious. Wardrobes, James, are you got full suit? What are we kind of working with for your Derby attire?
Yeah, for Derby, I'm going full suit. It's a nice kind of yellow, goldish looking suit, 3-piece suit, purple shirt underneath. Got a bolo tie that's purple and gold to go with it. Got a white hat, the nice big bill on it to go with it, and then some nice Jordan 1s to complete the look on my feet. So
man, looking sharp. Looking sharp. Miss Fletcher, are you going to go with hat or fascinator? Because I don't have experience with fascinators for obvious reasons. But I didn't know if you were going to go with big hat, if you were going to make it yourself. I know I've done that in years past where I might throw some flowers in there, maybe put a little ribbon or something. How are we working with it this year?
Well, I had found a purple and black hat that I had really liked a while back. So I have that. I also have a fascinator.
Nice.
That way, if
Okay.
I change my mind, I can go either, or I'll wear one on Oaks Day and one Derby Day. I haven't decided.
Well, I have a feeling I know what could help decide that, and that's our tip number 3, which is very important. It's just being prepared for the weather,
Yep.
because so I love our local meteorologists. They do this to us every year, right? It's 2 weeks out. We get the 14-day forecast. 80 and sunny, 70 and sunny, not a 0% chance of rain. And then Sunday night, well, there's going to be some rain in the forecast. But you know what? It's Kentucky in the spring. We're getting some warm air coming in. I think Friday is looking like it's going to be a little bit wetter than Saturday. So that might be fascinator day, Mrs. Fletcher, because then you can easily throw the poncho over it if need be. And that's where
Yeah.
I'm poncho and sunscreen. The poncho folds up, it's easy in and out. And for the most part, it usually, like, unless, like, there's years where it's complete washout. I believe Always Dreaming, that one was a complete washout. And Nyquist was definitely in the Preakness, but I think also in the Derby. But excuse me, Justify. Sorry. Yeah, Justify was complete washout the whole year.
Yeah, I
But
remember that one.
yeah, that was one of those where we were just sitting in puddles of water, right? Like, I mean, it was like we were camping out under a tarp just trying to stay dry. It was a rough one. But this is at least, you might get a little wet for a little bit. You throw that poncho over, you're good. And I like the bolo tie choice too, James, because you can unbutton like 3 buttons to kind of breathe a little, fan it out some,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
going to get a little toasty. That's a great way to kind of, and you can still, the bolo tie still works with that,
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then I might have a couple of chains I wear a couple
Oh,
from time to time, so I'll have those on too. So it'll be a nice
mm.
combination of stuff going on and through this area. So
Jewelry is I highly recommended, especially if it's the kind that's obviously fake. I'm a big fan of those, right? Like, we're coming in looking like sharks. For our 4th tip, I forget what we have. Peak. This is what I do. I make lists. I forget how they go. This one is not as essential as it used to be because of the all-inclusive nature of most of the Derby patrons. But if you are going to the infield, it's very funny when you walk into the infield tunnel on the left side. It's the far turn, start of the far turn. There's an ATM there, and it starts in the middle of the infield, and the line goes all the way to the gate, all the way to the fences for the turf track of idiots who forget that you have to have cash at a racetrack. I know we have all this cashless stuff and this, like, you just swipe and you're good, and no. Cash is king. So even if you're going to play some bets on your phone, even just having some extra walking around money, it never hurts you, especially when you leave the track and you see that food truck over there and you're like, oh gosh, I need a hot dog. Like, I need air to breathe right now. Like, that cash will take you a long way. And so make sure you stop at the ATM beforehand so you're not getting charged an arm and a leg and having to stand in line.
yeah, that sounds good. I think that's on our to-do list for this week before we head there to head to the bank and make sure we're ready on that front too. So
One year when I was working outside of one of the fancy dining rooms, this old man was walking on a cane and he dropped his manila envelope. And sir, you dropped your envelope. He said, oh man, I don't know what would have happened if I would have lost my son's $10,000. I just was like, you got any? Can you spare like a bill for this guy? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that might be a little bit different for us.
yeah,
Another reason why cash matters is you might deposit some money into your Naira Bets account, James, but you might lose it all. And
yeah, yeah.
and here's the thing. It's okay to lose. Like, you're going to pick some losers. But tip number 5 is keep firing, right? This is the biggest race day of the year. One year, I had the most money I've ever won in a single day gambling was at the Oaks. I don't know how much I won on Derby. Probably none at all, but it didn't matter. Last year, I don't know if I cashed one ticket on Oaks, but then on Saturday, I was with my dad. He got on a heater. We kept firing. This is the 2 biggest race days of the year. You can't let a couple losers deter you from making some wagers, right? And Miss Fletcher, I don't know, do you have a methodology for picking your ponies each year?
It's not a very good.
Well, it doesn't
I
have to
pretty much
be.
look at them and whatever the prettiest one is, a lot
Hey,
of time.
it works. And
And then I always pick a long shot too every year. I pick my one that I really think's gonna win, and then I pick a long shot. So
which and you never know, you might have the year where you strike it rich and hit an 80 to
yeah.
1. Um, there was one year, it was the Justify year,
Mhm.
where I tried to be Mr. Sharp. You know, I had I was looking at the programs all week. I'd handicapped all the races, and I was the biggest loser ever, James. And what did I do? I had like $30 left, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put 2 across the board on Funny Duck. I mean, it's pouring rain, and I got a bet on the duck horse, and by God, it won, and it paid $100. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know what do I know? So even
Yep.
when you're down and out, you're never all the way out at the racetrack. Which
Yep. We'll get more into it, I'm sure, when we talk about our picks. But I have a trend that I've been following in recent
okay,
years, and it has never paid off. But I keep going back to the well. So
well, this brings us to our next tip, and it's the question I'm going to ask you, and it's a question that I ask everybody. Who's your Derby horse? And before you answer, the reason why I say this is what's beautiful is there's no strangers at the racetrack. Like, I mean, there was like 5 people I talked to on the backside today. It was like, hey, good to meet you. Who's your Derby horse, right? Like, it's the ultimate icebreaker. There's 20 different ones. Everybody's got a different opinion, and even if I think it's a stupid opinion, we're at least talking about it, right? So, with that being said, I would love to hear your Derby trend, Mr. Fletcher.
yeah. So right now, the one that I keep going back to him. I can't quit it. Is Forever Young. I know he's the Japanese horse. I know the Japanese horse never wins the Derby, but it's got to happen at some point, right? Like horse racing is growing and growing there. It's such a big deal. We've seen him win in different ways. I try to keep track of it as much as I can. Now, the one thing that gets me is you look at these speed ratings. Like people will give you different measurements of what the horse is. It's so much harder to find that out about these
Yeah.
horses that are racing overseas. So I'm not going to lie to you and act like I put the stopwatch on him, but that's my horse right now that I keep going back to. He's 5-0. How can
Yeah.
you not go with the undefeated horse?
5-0, 5 different tracks, and that's the one that I was staying up late. The UAE Derby, I mean, he was like fighting his jockey for half the race. He went 4 wide and he still won. You know, like
That's
he might be, if he gets a nice break, like I'm with you where it's like, so I just want to be on the Japanese horse the one year it wins it. I don't want to be, especially if you've already started. If you bet Derma Sotogake last year, you can't stop now. You were on Thunder Snow. You can't stop now. This one, if you've been on the bad ones, this is might be the best one they've had. So I like that idea. Mrs. Fletcher, who's your Derby horse this year?
Honestly, I'm not sure yet.
Hey, what's nice is you get to see him in person, right? And
Yeah.
you get to get up close. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to get close enough in the paddock and fight through the crowds to see him or not, but you'll get a better idea. They're going to probably walk right past you on the track on the way on the walk over.
Yeah.
So you got plenty of time to formulate that opinion too.
Mm.
Have you picked a long shot yet though? Is there a name out there that's caught your fancy?
Uh, well, the one I really wanted didn't make it in, so
Ah, that's the worst. You got one circled a ways out, but it doesn't make
yeah.
it to the field. I think Honor Marie might be my long shot play.
Mm,
Just a hunch, but might be my long shot play. Got a
okay.
little family name aspect in it. I liked it before, and
Mm.
it's apparently been working out well. This next tip, I don't think I got to tell you all twice because it'll be your first time there. But when you're at Churchill Downs, you got to go exploring. I mean, first and foremost, sitting in your seats all day, it's great when you have nice company, but you just kind of get stuck there. It's a big old track with a lot of cool, fancy stuff. Go out, go exploring, hang out with some folks in the infield. Check out the new paddock. The new paddock is beautiful. It's amazing. I was starstruck being in it. It's wonderful. So take some time. It's a little different than a normal race day. The security measures are a little tighter where you can't just go moseying on. into the grandstand just to look at it from there, right? You got to have tickets, but you'll be able to check out a lot of different stuff while you're there. So during the early races, you'll watch a couple and you're like, you know what, let's go see what's going on out there. Besides, they got a bunch of free stuff in the infield too.
I know the museum is on our list for sure, because we've made one trip to Churchill Downs before when I was a kid that I remember during the off season. But yeah, the museum was closed, so we
Yeah.
didn't get to go, and so that's been on the list for a long time to finally make it inside of there.
So
Yeah.
I think Friday will be your day to check it out. I did
Yeah.
not confirm this with somebody that worked there. We were talking with them the other day, but apparently Saturday it's a part of an experience, because Churchill Downs, they don't say tickets anymore. It's experiences. So
Mhm.
Saturday, it may be closed off for private stuff, but you should be able to get in Friday to be able to check it out and see some of the things. I've been there quite a few times. Hopefully they have it open for you to be able to go explore and see it all. So
Definitely.
all right, 3 tips to go. This one, I don't think it'll apply as much to you all, but it does for a lot of folks like me. Don't forget to eat. Some might say, "Hey, take it easy. It's Derby Day. It's a marathon." No, no, no. It's a fast race. It's a 2-minute race. You can drink fast, but you just have to remember to eat too, right? Like eat before, eat during, and particularly if you're going to be in the infield, you can bring food with you. So box lunches or food items in clear plastic bags or containers, as long as they're smaller, 12 by 12 side, you're good to go. You get one bag only, but you can bring in your sundries. I love these little like nature made bars. I mean, sometimes they're terrible, but it's what you need, right? It's exactly what you need. And you can bring in 2 water bottles too, two 24-ounce sealed water bottles to make sure you stay hydrated. Because there's a time and day where, man, there's nothing more you want than like a pretzel with cheese or, like I said, that taco. Or else you can get into trouble. I've seen many of people take a nap in the infield. It's a little toasty out there. Second to last tip we got is there's no such thing as too many Derby glasses. So, it might be hard to stack them. The glass cups are a little tough to stack, and got a ways to go. But you want to bring some of them home. And this year they have exclusive glasses at the track that you can only get on Derby Day, and those gold ones look pretty sick.
Yeah, we'll have to put that on the list for sure. That one wasn't on my radar at least as much, but that'll be right up there now.
It wasn't a free souvenir, but since you're all inclusive, it technically is a free souvenir because the drinks are included. So, bada bing, bada boom. And the other part too, with no such thing as too many Derby glasses, you're gonna have some casualties of war, right? Like I mean, if I had a nickel for every Derby or Oaks Lily glass I broke, I have a full piggy bank. So, last but not least, and I know this might be unpopular, if after I already told you to arrive early, but staying for the last 2 races. I know it's a long day. The Derby race doesn't go off till 7, and then race 14's at 8:30. So like you're looking at a 10 and a half, 11-hour day at least. That doesn't include travel and getting in and out. But every year there's a swarm of people where the Derby ends and they try to beat the crowd. You ain't beating the crowd, right? Like you're not. And they've done a much better job of finding ways to funnel people out and get them on their shuttle buses to go back over to the stadium for the parking. But like it's going to be a mess no matter what. And the only time I've broken this rule is because the storms are rolling in, and you're like, well, maybe if we get in the tunnel in time, it won't rain on us as much. But the other reason why staying for the last 2 races is great. 2 years ago, a horse by the name of Strobe carved out a soft spot in my heart because, I won a little bit, but I was like, I won a lot of money back with Strobe on the last race, doing me a favor, coming in at 5-1. So, you still got a few chances to win some of that money back and slowly make your way out. So I know it might be for a long day for y'all, and it's going to get hot, and you might be a little bit tired. But you're probably not going to beat the crowd on the way out. So, hey, they at least got 2 more races for you to watch and maybe a barbecue sandwich for you to chow down on.
Yeah, we've always been, whether it's the Kentucky Derby or a minor league baseball game, we're a stay to the end family.
Yeah.
We'll wait till the players are off the field, or the horses in this case are off the track, before we start heading for the exits.
Maybe you can sign an autograph, right? You can get a
Yeah.
horseshoe print. Well, I appreciate y'all taking some time with me to talk about your upcoming experience. Miss Fletcher, is there any one moment you're kind of most looking forward to in all of this?
I think just actually hearing those hoofs come down. 'Cause I've always heard that it's just amazing because you don't hear that on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
I think that's kind of a big one. 'Cause when we were there, we got to see one horse running on the track, and even just that one horse, it was so amazing. I'm like, I can't imagine all of them running. So
well.
just that crossing the finish line, I think's the biggest in that one big race.
I was chatting with somebody recently, James, and it is like the way they put it is it's hard to articulate, but it is something that you can't feel the energy until you feel it, and then you're like,
Mhm.
Mm,
oh wow, it got
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I think being around sports, we feel those like we're there for some of those moments. Sometimes we're right there next to the court when it happens, or next to the field, and like there's no bigger one than this. There's no bigger athletes than these. So it's yeah, I'm excited for. I think for me, it might just be uh, the kind of lead up to the race, the anticipation,
Mm,
singing my old Kentucky home, all of it just
mm,
together, and the trumpets, of course, and just everything
mm.
leading up to that race that signifies that we're about to run the Kentucky Derby, and knowing that I'm there, experiencing it in person.
It's one of those two where they'll run. I believe it's the American Turf Classic or I forget what the name of it is, but they'll have a turf race right before, and then you realize, oh, well, now we got about an hour to wait around. So you think it's going to take forever, and then before you
Mm.
know it, I forget who's calling riders up this year. It might be Martha Stewart actually. They'll go to the paddock, and you realize, oh wow, it's go time, and then it's just like a euphoric 30 minutes that I'm so happy and excited you all get to experience for the first time. Enjoy your trip to Kentucky for Derby 150. I hope it's as magical as you've always dreamed.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I think
Looking
it
forward
will
to
be.
being there.
Happy
Thank
Derby,
you.
y'all.
Thank you.